Hey everyone, it's Tom. Just going to come to you today with the first of a series of 10 videos where I'm endeavoring to render definition, at least an initial tentative definition of key notions, terms, words, concepts in the public discourse, the general conversation. And we might as well just jump in to the deep end with the word, notion, concept, capitalism. Now, in order to really effectively provide the definition, we'd probably have to clarify some prior contributing notions or concepts, right? But and I'll do that momentarily. But just to begin, I might say that capitalism is a mode of production which organizes resources and labor with an eye to the constant and expanded creation of surplus value, not profit. Profit is actually derived from surplus value and plays a crucial role in driving the engine of capitalism. But it's actually surplus value that which is more than with what you started, which is the substantive moving force of the framework overall. We can return to the notion of surplus value in a moment, but as I said, we have to elucidate certain other prior notions, concepts. They're sort of presuppositions, not just conceptually, but substantively, playing into capitalism in the world, not just today, but historically. One of the most crucial of those suppositions is the idea of commodity exchange. What is a commodity? And actually, of all people, Karl Marx, who is, depending on your orientation, famously or infamously related to how we understand capitalism, started his work, Das Kapital, with an explication of precisely the commodity as the fundamental building block, if you will, of the economic structure more generally. Virtually anything can be a commodity. It's an object of evident utility that people are interested in sufficiently that they're willing to disperse their own money or effort to acquire it. I should specify that they're not just spending their money or effort to acquire it, they're doing so in a market context, which is another presupposition of the capitalist framework, to which I will turn in a moment after I note that the thing about commodities is that they have a twofold aspect. The one to which we've already alluded, utility or use value, as it's classically called, is that component of the commodity, or aspect of the commodity, which we can put to a relatively specific advantage. So you buy toothbrushes to brush your teeth. You buy a drill, to do handiwork, and you buy cotton candy to eat it, and you buy services. You buy a massage. You go to yoga classes, right? It's an incredibly open category into virtually anything can be inserted, right? The other side of a commodity, though, than its use value, is its exchange value, which sort of loosely put could be said, well, that's the price on the market for which one can sell or for which one buys the use value in question. Now, it's a little bit imprecise to say the price because that immediately associates us with money, and money itself is actually a kind of commodity. It's our special commodity because it's a commodity we actually purchase in order to access other commodities. There are other things for which we want to acquire money, but that's among its most central functions. And the incredibly important role that money plays in the anatomy of the economy points actually very much in the direction of apprehending that what is underlying that entire framework is concerned with value. And here, value is really referencing human labor, or actually even more specifically than that, human labor time. Time actually is over what we're struggling here, the time of our individual lives. And that opens up a whole other vista to explore that I'm going to bracket for the moment to try and stay focused on the issue of capitalism itself. And in that interest of return, I want to point out something about exchange value. Okay, what really makes a commodity above and beyond the fact that it has this twofold aspect of having a use value and an exchange value is that it's produced really for the attainment of exchange value. Its utility is exploited, if you like, in order to give us a means whereby to access the latter. And so all sorts of interesting contradictions arise as a result of this circumstance. The really sort of useful example could be houses. The use value of houses is obvious: shelter, home, etc. But they're treated or often sought by some people for exchange purpose, which then actually transforms your relationship with the object itself in a radical way that can be something to consider in and of itself. And you'll recall at the outset, more or less, I said that the purpose of capitalism is to seek the expansion of surplus value, that's value above and beyond what you have at the beginning. In the housing example, then you see that housing speculation is an effort to pursue precisely this end by seeking to sell real estate for more than it is attained. Thus the classic sort of like flip your house, schema. Though it's a rather unfortunate way of going about it, because it's really just trying to play upon or distortions that arise within the market, but which don't actually involve the concrete production of surplus value. And it would be rather inefficacious to try and, through just the buying and selling of houses, get to that object surplus value. Because ultimately, the only thing which really makes more value than we have at the end of the day is human labor. When it engages with the environment, with nature, with raw resource, if you like, and transforms and modifies that complex of raw resource into forms whose utility can be in turn invoked to access and realize exchange value on the market. And the principal manner in which this is done under capitalism is through what we could call the commodification. Well, what we could call it is the commodification of labor itself, which we see in the form of a wage. What is a wage? A wage is the price of a person's labor through a lens of accessing their temporality. In a real way, it's how we rent ourselves out. And likely you're going to bridle a bit when I say rent ourselves out, because that's going to probably elicit the impression that we're not so far from actually selling ourselves. If we're willing to rent ourselves, then we should sell ourselves. And if we're willing to sell ourselves, well, then what are we but slaves? Well, I'm not going to try and encounter that impression, because in my view, that's actually what's going on. Under the wage-labor relationship, we are effectively slaves, and someone else is going to purchase or acquire our labor or rent us out, and then whatever we produce, they are the ones who are actually going to sell it. They're going to sell it for more than what it cost them to acquire it, which is what, the price of the acquiring the resources in question and our labor time. And that differential, which is a real differential, it's not just an arbitrary added cushion or margin, right? It is a natural consequence of the way labor has been invested in the production of that commodity. That is the ground from which we realize surplus value. And, the net is the profit, because the surplus value, so there you have it, right? So capitalism is the mode of economy which is orchestrated to the purpose of acquiring that particular holy grail. However, in the broader public conversation, the word is not always used with reference to this specific arrangement. Oftentimes, people want to associate capitalism, the word, with what is perhaps more accurately termed simply a market economy, or an economy where vis-a-vis the convention of private property, people can exchange goods with each other with the minimal coercive reference to external considerations like the state and what have you. And there's an important conceptual distinction there, because the intention behind those exchanges may vary markedly than the intention which animates them in a specifically capitalist fashion. It's conceivable that when people enter into the marketplace, their mind or their eye is not specifically on the acquisition of profit so that they can go around and make more profit, go around and make more profit. They may actually simply be concerned with addressing their own concrete needs, learning to live sufficiently, for themselves and their family in a much more circumscribed, moderate manner. And if this is the active intentionality, the sort of thing you might witness, say, in a flea market, then it likely is at least more benign than what you're going to witness on Wall Street. I make that concession with a certain hesitation because, for various reasons, I think that once you enter into a market framework, it is extraordinarily difficult to resist the temptation to fall back and simply become profit-seeking and surplus value-seeking in your decisions. So being said, that differentiation between a mere market economy and a capitalist economy is one which can be usefully imported into lots of conversations with people who, because they want to affiliate a more fundamental human value, namely freedom, with the market, can become confused when they are confronted with people such as myself who are anti-capitalist, if you like, in disposition. This is because I believe their concern is that the rejection of the capitalist framework will turn into alternative situations in which the freedom, which is integral to human flourishing, can arise. Now, this is a portal to a larger conversation that we could really have right here and right now. I'm hoping, though, however, that my remarks have nevertheless succeeded in providing at least a little light as to what the terrain and the geography is with reference to the word or notion of capitalism in the public conversation, so that when it is invoked, employed, used, it can be invoked or employed or used to clarify and move dialogue rather than to obscure and detain that dialogue. And so we're coming up on 16 minutes. I was shooting for 10, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Enough for today. Tomorrow I'm going to take up the intimately related word of socialism, which often is set as in counterpoint to capitalism, and try and render some definition or some approaches to definition there, as well as maybe making a few additional remarks in respect to capitalism itself. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, this has been Tom, and I'm talking to you today actually from Alms Park in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a matter of acknowledging the site, and we've been talking about capitalism. All right, guys, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.